there's a point, and I wrote about it in the book, when my mom came home drunk, and it was my 9th birthday, and beat the living crap out of me to the point where I thought I was going to die. I started going door to door selling candies. And then I sold newspapers, and that represented food to me. So when I could go make money, I could go and buy myself food. And I'm not kidding you. This isn't exaggeration. There was no food in our house. And my mother and my stepfather were never home. So it's like, I always wanted to ask them, like, where do you think that I ate? It's impossible to be negative and grateful at the same time. Faith over fear. If you're focused on, I will be happy at this point, when I get this, you're all wrong.
Yeah.
You be happy right now. When you believe it, you will achieve it.
Thank y'all for tuning in. It's Amberly, and I so appreciate you tuning in to the True Grit and Grace podcast. I have one of my good friends on the show today, and we were just talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, we got to hit record. I have Kelly Siegel here, y'all. He is amazing. He's motivating people around the globe. He's an author. He's got a top podcast and had some of the most amazing guests on his show. He's a speaker. You got to check out his Instagram and his TikTok, because you will be so inspired. He's also an owner of a tech company. We'll get into all of that stuff. He's the CEO of a tech company. And you know what? He has broken the cycle of abuse and addiction, and you are going to be inspired. Your heart is going to be just filled up with joy after hearing him. So, Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, really, just so that we set the record straight, it's 20 minutes of you and I just gabbing. I think it was 25 minutes. It's like when I get on the phone with you, when I get on the phone with you, it's all I feel is love and energy, and it's just, I want more of it. I cannot wait to go to your event in April and just hug you and love you and tell you how proud I am of you. And just, life is good that we get to do this and get to make friends with amazing people like you. I didn't know you a year ago, and now you've been on my podcast, I'm on your podcast, and I'm going to come support you in any way, shape, or form on
my goodness,
in all your events.
Thank you. Well, I'm so excited that you're going to come to the event in April in Dallas. And I was like, oh my gosh, so many people are going to be so like crazy, happy, joyous that they get to see you, because so many of the people that are going to be there, like John and Catherine Gordon, and Jillian will be there. Like, well, you've had a lot of the guests on your show that are going to actually be at the event. So I know that they're going to be so happy to hug your neck.
Yeah. Like attracts like, remember. So you got to warn them I'm coming, because when I come with Siegel smooches and hugs and
oh my gosh, I do too. It's so funny. I spoke at an event in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I saw my friend Mark Drager for the first time. And I run in and I'm like, Mark, oh my God. And I give him a big hug and I hit him on the chest. I was like, look at you, because he lost a lot of weight and he got really fit. And his face was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a hugger. So you will be very welcome at this event for sure. I mean, seriously, for sure. I can't wait to hug your neck. Your story is amazing. And we have daughters that are around the same age. Your daughter, I think, is about a year younger than my daughter. And you have set such an example of strength and hope and inspiration and transformation. And I have like 3 pages of questions, because you're amazing at all you do and how you inspire people. But we have so much in common with our stepdads, for sure. But I would just like our listeners to know a little bit about your story, because sometimes it's hard to see. Like, if you look at, Kelly on social media, you're like, oh, wow, this guy's like a superhero. He's got it all. He's, driving this boat in Florida. And has another house and he's doing this and that and owns a successful company. And by the way, this is like the first time I've seen you with so much clothes on. Because if you check out his social media, even your stories on Facebook, yours is the first one that pops up. I'm not kidding. And he's always got a shirt off. But hey, if you looked the way Kelly did, you would do that too. But I want to talk about like how you got from a place of abuse and neglect. I mean, when I know when you were like 10 years old, you were wanting food and nobody was going to make you food. And you were worried that your stepfather was going to come home and was this the time he was going to beat you again? So, can you tell us a little bit about your story growing up so people get perspective on what they can do and what they can overcome?
Absolutely. I'm a learn it all, but learn it all comes with a lot of fear. So growing up, I was always scared to death. I didn't know if my mother was going to come home and beat on me. My dad was going to, stepfather was going to come over and beat on me. I didn't know where my next meal was. The only place I knew I was going to get fed was our free lunch at school. But that made me resilient and tough.
Mm-hmm.
And silly me decided to go right down the same path of the drinking and drugs that my parents went down. Luckily, the entire time I knew this wasn't gonna stick with me. Just a shameless plug, Harder Than Life, the book. I wrote all about it in there. Amazon bestseller for several weeks. Talks all about how I grew up, how I channeled that to start my national technology management IT company. And here's a little known fact: it was out of fear. I was afraid of where I was going to eat, what I could eat, who was going to beat me. So I just knew that if I just worked very, very hard, and I started like you at a very young age, I started going door to door selling candies, and then I sold newspapers, and that represented food to me. So when I could go make money, I could go and buy myself food. And I'm not kidding you. This is an exaggeration. There was no food in our house, and my mother and my stepfather were never home. So it's like I was wanted to ask them, like, where do you think that I ate? Did you even care?
Yeah.
Um,
Did you have
so
brothers or sisters?
I had a sister who was 8 years old, 9 years older than me, and she left when I was nine. And that I
Oh,
realized through all my therapy that was a big an abandonment thing, because when she was there, my mother and my stepfather would give her the brunt of the abuse, and she took it
oh,
like a champ until she didn't. And then when she left, it was, man, it was all on little 9 year old Kelly. And she knew it too. She told me years later she tried to get me out of that house. Tried
how many
everything.
years later? How many years later?
Just recently, this last summer, I was at her son's birthday party, and I showed up, and I pulled her aside and I said, I want to thank you for
Oh,
saving my life.
oh,
And I started crying, and she said, I go, there was a point I wrote about in the book when my mom came home drunk, and it was my ninth birthday, and beat the living crap out of me to the point where I thought I was going to die.
mm,
And my sister, since it was my birthday, had come to stay the night with me because she wanted to see me. And lucky she was there, because she was hiding in the other room while my mom was pummeling me. And then I hear this door open. I hear this punch. I barely see anything. And I hear this punch. My sister punched my mom in the face and grabbed my lifeless body, pulled me back into this room, slammed the door, locked it, and tried to revive me and said, here's this social worker's number. You need to call her. You've got to get out of here because she's going to kill you.
mm.
And I was scared to death. I didn't call. I believe that the social worker showed up, and I lied, said, oh, everything's fine,
Oh
because I
gosh.
feared the repercussions from my mother, even worse. When you don't know any better, that's the love that you seek. And
Yeah.
Amberly, it
Yeah.
took me 40 years to figure out that shit ain't normal, man. That ain't
Oh,
normal. That's not
well,
love.
hey, Kelly, this is something I've never shared on the podcast before, but we had a social worker come to our house for my oldest daughter, because I was in a marriage, very short lived marriage, but it wasn't good. And a social worker came And I was like, just tell the truth. And she did. And it was a good thing because it sobered up my ex-husband. Gosh, I probably shouldn't be saying this on here.
No, you know what?
But
That's what you know what people love is the realness. And
yeah.
that's real life. Here's the funny thing about it. We all have something. We all have skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sharing that, another young lady who is listening to this, who loves her some Amber Lee, hears that your daughter was courageous. I want to
Mm-hmm.
say that word more and more and more, courageous,
Mm.
to be herself and speak up. I was a coward. I sat there and was afraid.
You didn't know any better though.
I
Like
know
you,
I've forgiven it. I just wanted to say that, but I have
oh,
forgiven that little boy. And had he not gone through all that, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now,
yeah.
because the contrast is amazing. So I grew up really, really physically abused, mentally abused, and now I live a life that everybody would love to live. I just landed from Florida. Like you said, I was on the boat with my daughter yesterday. I spent the whole week down there with her. Now I'm here in Michigan earning the money and realizing that life is so good. And if I would have had a cushy childhood, I wouldn't have written the Harder Than Life book. I wouldn't
Uh-huh.
be a sought after speaker. None of this would be happening. And but you had to do the work, and it was scary. There were times when I wrote this book. I wrote this just as a fluke during the
What
pandemic.
year did that come out?
Came out this year.
This
Everything is this year, 2023. This year has been. I launched everything on January 31st, 2023, and we're coming to we're now end of November, and I've even been doing this stuff a year, and the Instagram and the TikTok and everything is blown up. And I was
But
talking to
Kelly, that is because of your discipline, your consistency, and your grit and your hard work.
I
Oh,
received
you
that. That's
got
what
to,
it says.
if you're
It
watching
literally,
this on YouTube, you can see he's got consistency is what transforms average into, what does it say? Le-
excellence.
excellence. I was going to say legend because you're legendary. Now I see you're, and that's the thing. Like, honestly, I think the reason that the True Grit and Grace podcast is the top 1% podcast is just because I've been consistent. I've been consistent every single week for years. Like every week, episode comes out. You have 2 episodes a week that come out on your show.
It's like everything in my life. That's an accident. My former assistant didn't realize. She was very overzealous and didn't realize there's 52 weeks in the year, and we booked too many people. So
It's yeah,
they
my
were
producer
so
was like the same. So Christine, if you're listening to this, I understand. Thank you.
I love people and I want to talk to them.
Me
And it's
too.
just so you put a microphone in my hand, whether it be a podcast or a speaking engagement, and I'm at home. I feel great doing it.
And
And
you're so good on social media. Like you're so comfortable. Like honestly, I'm amazed at what you do on social media when you're like talking to the camera and also how you handle some haters. So
oh
I want to
man,
talk about
they
that
would be coming
because
at
there's some haters out there that are like, "Oh my gosh, do you even own a shirt? Do you own clothes?" And I love
no, no, no,
that
no.
you are just like, "Hey, if you look like me, you would take off your shirt too."
Well, it's always they're claiming I take steroids, and I have something for those people. We're going to do a podcast with my doctor on, and we're going to shut them up.
Oh, so
People don't.
what do you take?
I
What
take
do you do?
testosterone. 48 years old, and I take testosterone,
Yeah.
and the rest is consistency, discipline, grit, and just between you and me and the fence post. I don't want my stepfather to beat me anymore. That's how this started. I started working out when I was 13 years old because he was beating on me. He was a big guy.
We
And you know
have that
what?
in common.
That opened up.
That's how I started working out and getting into Krav Maga and boxing. Same thing.
Well, you were a big fit. Many people don't notice it. You were a huge fitness influencer back in before they were called influencers. And listen, you're gorgeous now. You're beautiful. Whoa, I saw some of those pictures. You stunning.
Oh,
Yeah, all the way through. Just beautiful.
you're
I
sweet.
love me some Amberly, and that's why we get along so well. Our stories are the same. Very, very similar. We overcome it and we're living our best life now. And we're sharing it because
Yeah.
that's where the courageousness comes in. I put in my book, I had to empty a jar of urine for my stepdad every day.
You
I,
what? You
yeah, he used to, I thought you knew this.
I
Excuse me.
didn't know this part.
So my mother and my stepfather were such violent drunks that they couldn't sleep in the same room or they couldn't go out together because they would get into fights. It's now I know that's two unhealed people, two insecure people that just got together and
Mm-hmm.
couldn't find anybody else. So she would sleep in one room and he'd sleep in another, but she would come home and harass him and try to start a fight with him. So he put this big door in and with a deadbolt, and he wouldn't come out because she stabbed him, she beat him. She one time lit the house on fire, literally lit the house on fire. So my stepfather would pee in a jar because he didn't want to come out because he feared she'd kill him. And my job was to make his bed and to empty that pee jar. And if I didn't empty it, he would open it and go throw it on my bed. Well, here's the lesson I learned now that I own an IT company. If you don't do it right the first time, when are you going to have the time to do it right the second time? So I am
Mm.
very meticulous about getting things done. You'll hear me say, I measure 10 times and cut once because I don't want pee being thrown on my bed. Hey,
The lessons you've learned.
it's disgusting. I know. But hey, it has served me where I'm able to now remember, this isn't a self-grandiose thing. Most of the money that I make from the Harder Than Life brand goes to charity. We're going to donate $1 million to charity every year that we make the $1 million. Now we're 1 year into this, not even 1 year, we're 10 months into it. So we're short on that, but we will make up for it quickly. So I'm not sitting here, woe is me, but that's really happened. That really, really happened. And uh, I don't talk to them anymore.
I
And
was going to ask you, that was my question that I really wanted to know is like, do you have a relationship with your mom and your stepdad?
I was talking to a friend the other day, my best friend who's been with me through
Mm-hmm.
thick and thin for
Mm-hmm.
25 years. And he said to somebody else, he's like, I lived with him for years. We were roommates, college roommates after school. He's like, I lived with him on or off for 20 years. He's like, you know how many times his parents called him in the 20 years we lived together? And they're like, I don't know how many, zero. So
Wow.
I tried to have a relationship with them. And then every time I was around them, I left feeling less than. I left feeling
Mm.
like shit. Let's just be honest.
Okay.
And they knock me. They would tell me I ain't nothing, and just I don't think there's no reason that I need to put up with that.
Mm.
And that goes for anybody in this world. And I thought, oh, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your family, and they're blood, and you got to put up with it. No, mm-mm. I am to tell you, I've been through much therapy, and it's been all over the board. I've had therapists say you should connect, and then I've the ones that really know me and know my healing said you've processed it, Kelly. Now I will be at their funeral. There won't be anybody else. They're such nasty humans. They don't have any friends. They're hurt.
What about your dad? I mean,
He passed away from drugs and alcohol 25 years ago.
oh, wow.
So it was and that's another thing. There's weeks like this last week. I just turned 48. I just had Thanksgiving that, I would have paid any money to have dinner with my dad and just talk to him. He was one of those people that had the highest IQ in the family, and just
Yeah.
life came so easy to him that he had to slow that mind down, and he did
Yeah.
it through drugs and alcohol, and then
Mm-hmm.
ultimately killed himself. He was 47 years old when he died. So
Wow.
now 48, and it's sad. He didn't live a day of his life, not one day.
Mm. Well, I want to talk about your sobriety. How long have you been sober?
Ooh, great question. It's coming up on 5 years. The New Year's, this will be 5 years.
And I know that you stay sober in a very different way than a lot of people do because most people like me go to a 12 step. I still go to meetings. I'm a secretary of a meeting. I've got a sponsor. We check in every day. We work through the big book every week. But you don't do any recovery. You just decided to stop, and that's it. How do you do it?
Well, I believe, since I talked to you last year, so this one's you're laughing. I believe I'm the chosen one. I believe God has a bigger plan for me. Why am I here? I don't know why, but man, things keep aligning for me.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
And
You are chosen.
so why did I drink? I figured out that I could get love and attention and brother love and family, camaraderie, a sense of belonging when I drank.
Uh-huh.
So, and I was one of those weird people. I like the taste of alcohol.
You like the taste of
Oh man, I
alcohol?
like the taste of alcohol. You throw me some scotch or some whiskey. I like beer too. Now I drink all non-alcoholic. So you asked me a question. The short answer is this. A, it wasn't serving me anymore. And every single time that there was a problem in my life, alcohol was present. It was not the
Uh-huh.
causation. I was the causation. It was a correlation.
Mm.
So I said, I'm going to eliminate this. And I only committed to, I just put a post up today about, or yesterday about take the Siegel 90-day challenge. I think that if you take 90 days off of alcohol, there's a highly good chance where you can abstain from it forever. And if you're not
Well,
putting
because
it
it takes about 90 days to create a new habit and way of living. So it's
right,
good that you're doing 90 days. Yeah.
for me, it was day 184. And I only know these days because of the day that I quit. I quit on New Year's Eve. Well, really New Year's Day. So right, the moment New Year's hit on 1/1/19, which I think is hilarious. It's 911 in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cheers the drag queen. I was in Key West, Florida. Took a big swig of scotch, set it down, and never looked back. Uh,
So you didn't have like a big rock bottom or a wake up call. You just continued to have things that weren't going right and decided, you know what, this is not serving me, and
Emily
stop.
was a love story. I just kept meeting emotionally unavailable drunk women. And I was
Oh.
trying to get them to love me like mom didn't love me. And I figured, oh, this is what I know best. So I'm going to go meet them. Like attracts like. I'm emotionally unavailable. They're emotionally unavailable. And it just was something. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be a better way. Let's become what I'm trying to attract, which is sober, which is loyal, honest, and knows how to communicate and bring something to the table.
So you
Uh,
single now?
yeah, I am actually.
Hey, ladies,
It's
check him
really
out. He's single. You know
it's
what he
really funny
wants.
how when you heal to the level that I did, and I mean, I still work on my healing. Like I was at a retreat last weekend in Utah where I was meditating and literally digging into because I was feeling like there was a little bit of unhealedness in my inner child. And I drilled on it and drilled on it and drilled on it. Figured out it was just my old ego that was there to protect me, was fighting tooth and nail for me not to kill it.
Mm,
And I gave him permission to go away and said, I got it from here. It's all good. More healing. 5 years
mm,
into this.
yeah.
So now I feel 1,000 pounds lighter. You're going to see even more aggressive posts and me being more of who I authentically am. And I'm going to try to help more people because at the end of the day, that's what I want to do. I
Mm-hmm.
modeled the best partier in the world, and now I'm going to model the best winning, um, inspired, positive person on the planet. I'm gonna come. We talked about Ed Milet. I'm gonna be the next Ed Milet, but Kelly Siegel. He's Ed Milet is Ed Milet. I'm Kelly Siegel, but we're gonna just keep going and keep passing the torch. And then there's somebody grinding an axe behind me that can come and do that. So you asked the question is I healed the reason why I wanted to drink in the first place. And
Mm.
Amberly, I don't have cravings. I don't have desires. I was around people that were drinking all week. And not one point. And I drive them around. I don't avoid bars. It just does not call me anymore. It was the thing to do to pass time. Well, now I read. I'm reading an amazing book right now, by the way. I highly recommend it, called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Oh,
Oh, I
oh,
I think I have that book and I haven't read it yet. That was
Emily.
one of my questions to you is like
Oh, good.
one of your favorite books is The Four Agreements.
Yes.
And that is my ultimate favorite book because it's so simple, easy to read. It's the book that I give to everyone. What are some of your favorite books?
You know what? There's a new book you got to look up. The Four Agreements Companion Book.
Oh, I
It's
don't have
new.
that.
It just came out. I just looked at it up on my shelf. It's addition to, they go deeper into the Four Agreements. So the Four Agreements
Oh,
companion book. I was just sent. This is the cool thing about this. I actually got to reach over here and grab this. Hold on. I was recently, so being of some sort of status. This is, I still struggle with, what where we are. You get sent books all the time, especially since
oh,
I
I know. I've got I've
so
got
I
a
got sent
desk.
this by this
Got,
amazing.
yeah.
This
Right
is
on my desk.
The
That
Book of Mistakes: 9 Secrets to Creating a Successful Future by Skip Pritchard. This guy is, I didn't realize it, is a very big speaker. And
huh.
he's been,
I don't know
his
him.
book
I'm
was
gonna
so good. This is my new favorite book.
really
It is a
the Book of
fable.
Mistakes. Okay. Oh, I love fable books.
It's so good. I love it. And then I just finished Arnold Schwarzenegger's book. Who knew he was so smart? He was
Oh,
fantastic.
he's brilliant. Oh, can I tell you a story really quick about Arnold?
Absolutely.
So, my husband got the Medal of Valor and they flew us to Sacramento and he was being presented with this Medal of Valor by Arnold. And I'm a huge, being in the fitness industry, I'm huge Arnold fan. Like I love Arnold. So when came time, my husband looked so handsome and he's walking on stage in his uniform and Arnold's putting the medal over him. The phone, I was so like excited and like over, like, I don't know what happened, but the phone was like this. It was shaking. I got no video of it because I
Is
was
this your husband
so,
now?
yeah, he's amazing.
First of all, I gotta say to you, I wish I could bottle you and marry you. I that love that you just showed him is what I'm looking for. I don't, I shouldn't say look. That's what I want. That just warmed. You just triggered me in the positive way, and like, that's what I want. That
Oh,
support. I have done all of this growing up with no support. Now I have you, I got Jill, I got Craig. There's so many people like pushing me that even if I wanted to quit, won't let me. But
I
that
don't think
just,
you would ever quit. There's no,
man, I'm just getting
you've
warmed
got
up.
so much grit. There's no quit. There's like you're incredible. But no, I'm very, very, very blessed to have a husband who has been by my side. I mean, he was by my side for 34 surgeries. I'm real lucky. He's a good guy. He'd give you the shirt off his back. And I hope that you will meet him in April.
I will. I will. And just for the listeners, there's no luck about it. You did the work. You became the person that you were looking to attract, and the universe aligned with you. Mine, God is building mine right now.
Yeah,
So
I was going to say that. And I love that you share so much about how you are doing the work and you're going to therapy. And one of the things that I love about you is that you are so strong and you've got all this grit, but you're not afraid to show your vulnerability. And
vulnerability.
you're humble. Like you've got a lot of confidence, but you have a lot of humility as well. And I love that about you.
Thank you
And
so much. I received that. Vulnerability is a superpower. And we all need, you got to realize you get what you want or you get what you need when you're vulnerable. And if you get what you need, sometimes that hurts. And it's okay. Because on the other side of that hurt is growth.
Mhm.
Hey, Amber Lee doesn't like me. Hey, I don't have to spend another minute talking to her. I got what I needed. Hey, Amber Lee loves me. I got what I wanted. I got a sister that I love that
Mhm.
I'm going to come to Dallas and support. Do you see how that works?
Mm.
Either way, I don't sit in this what is that, halfway between it. I don't sit when I don't know what's going on, and that's crazy talk. That's, it's like you're not even living your life. So and again, this is not easy. I would, it's still a scared little boy in me that just says, I can't believe you just said that. But there's also my other self, my badass self saying, you've got to say that because
Mm-hmm.
people are counting on you. And
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody else listening that said that needs to hear this. And so they step into themselves. So I've got an obligation, and that's part of being the chosen one and putting that kind of expectation on myself because and it's pretty it's cool because it's just the truth. It's my truth.
Yeah. Well, I love your videos, and your TikTok is like exploding. Like
I just noticed that.
it is. It's exploding. It's amazing.
Well, I
Can you
there's
tell I've
very
been stalking you?
it's
Can you?
very personal to me because I want to catch these young kids. You have a
Mm-hmm.
young daughter, I have a young daughter. I want to catch them before they form their coping skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my daughter, bring your friends over and let's love on them because they need to know it's safe. They also, I want to create a safe zone for conversation. There's no judgment. I'm not here to fix anything. I'm just here to offer guidance. And
Well, I think when you've grown up in a home where you've never felt safe, that's a really big deal to just have a safe place. I'm the same way with my kids. Like they always know it's safe to come and talk to me. In fact, my daughter just had a couple of friends over, and it touched my heart because she goes, "No, we can tell my mom. She's okay. We can tell her anything." And so they started telling me a story of what they did, and and I was like, "Oh gosh, maybe I'm a bad influence because they went into like an old abandoned house, but I'm the one that first took my daughter and said, "Hey, let's go in this old abandoned house and go explore." And so she's like me. And so, but it made me feel good that like, she's like, "Oh no, you can tell my mom anything. It's okay to tell my mom."
Well,
Not so
there's
much.
so much more to that, as you know, Amberly. And I'm only saying this so the listeners hear this is you don't ever want your kid to say, we can't tell mom because she's going to kill me.
Yeah,
I want them to say, tell mom because she can help us.
exactly.
And that's how I have it with my daughter. It's she text messaged me, and I just say I'm coming, no strings attached. I don't, if I'm not, if I have to make a scene, tell me. If I have to be quiet, tell me. But I'm this big imposing force, and then that's when the scared little Kelly does come out. Where
Mm,
if she's threatened, then I get nervous.
mm.
But I know that violence is not the answer, even
But
though
you're
there's
that's being protective. That it triggers you because I think a part of you is trying to protect that little boy that so needed to be protected.
oh,
And now it comes out with your daughter, and you can be triggered, and you want to protect your daughter, and you are such a good dad. I
it's
hear
the
the way that
hardest thing
you.
in the world to do is to let them make mistakes and let them
Mhm.
learn. But you have to. You cannot be a hover parent. There's no amount of experience that I've had through life that I can protect her from. And
Mhm.
I catch myself doing it. I just gotta let her live her life. The beauty part about it is she sees that drugs and alcohol aren't a thing. She brought it up for the weekend, and she's a good kid. I would say if she wasn't, but she's a good kid, and she's starting to look beautiful like her mother. And I'm grateful for her. She's my why. If I didn't have her, I'd probably be dead, like my dad,
Mm.
because I
Yeah.
had nothing to live for. Thank goodness I'm here because I've only just begun.
And now where is her mom?
Her mom is here local. I wrote about it in the book. We had a pretty big fight during the night of the pandemic. They I'd been sober for about 14 or 15 months now, and I was becoming this unstoppable being, and hurt people. So she got together with my ex-girlfriend, and they made up a bunch of lies and temporarily took custody away from my daughter.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I went nuclear. And I'm going to share something with you that my daughter told me. that she'd never told me before. She told me yesterday in Florida. She said, Dad, I fully expected you to drink again when you lost me. I fully
Mm.
expected you to show up at mom's house and make a scene. And when you didn't, and then you showed up with a court order and won, I felt loved and proud of you. And I looked at her, I threw the paper at my ex-wife and said, really? What the hell's wrong with you? And I looked at my daughter and I said, I will never stop coming for you. Never. And she knew right away that I meant business. And here we are 5 years later, closer than ever. And
Mm.
so her mother finally, after all that, after we went to court and blew a bunch of money and wasted it, I went to her and I forgave her. And I said, I asked her three questions. One was, how can I be a better father? How can I be a better ex-husband? And how can I support her in her new relationship? And it was an hour and a half of her basically berating me. And all that is you know as well I do. Don't take anything personal from the four
Mm-hmm.
agreements. It's
Mm-hmm.
just all her. Those were all her insecurities pummeling it out at me, and I just listened. Hour and a half later, and that's when the war ended. Now we don't fight. Now I will tell you, I'm single. There's a coincidence. There's no coincidence that when I'm single, I get along with her really well. I don't know what it is, and I just put that out in the airways, but it is the truth. I'm going to tell the truth all the time. So when I'm single, she's happy, even though she's had a boyfriend for years. She likes me single. So if that
Mm-hmm.
keeps the peace, the difference is that anytime I ever get a girlfriend, even in this healing journey, they haven't been what they're going to be. Or the one I ultimately end up with is going to be like you, that is able to
Oh,
return.
I don't know. My husband nicknamed me crazy, so.
Listen, I like a little bit of crazy. We all do, because I'm a little crazy. But you gotta be able to accept love and give love and be loyal and co-create together and communicate together. Hey
Mm-hmm.
man, I
Yeah.
guarantee you, like, some of this is, here's a conversation between you and your husband. Hey, you're kind of bothering me right now. I need a minute. You know, and you walk away and I'll be right back. I just need a minute. And then you come back. Hey, I love you. That was triggered because of this. In the future, could you say that? And
Mm-hmm.
that's all I'm asking. And that's not
Yeah.
asking too much.
Well,
So
I want to talk about the self-love because there was a time when you looked in the mirror that you didn't like who you saw. How did you start to love yourself, give yourself that self-love, and become the person that you are today?
probably the same way you did. I remember looking in the mirror many times when I was drinking. And even after I was drinking, and I'd look and I'd see my face was blotchy and puffy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd done some stupid things that quote unquote were fun, but they weren't in alignment with who my soul really is. And I just said, this has got to stop. So I started thinking at age 30 that I needed to quit, but I didn't know
Really?
how. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't
So at
understand.
age 30, you were like, this is a little much. I need to quit.
Yeah, I was in Copenhagen, Thailand at the full moon party doing shots of tequila with Liam Neeson.
Wow.
So I been on a
Oh my
plane.
God, I love Liam Neeson. Are you
And you
kidding?
know what? He's sober now, I just learned.
Really? There's
Yeah,
a
he quit.
lot of people
I
getting
wonder if he
sober.
remember. You got to remember, because you only go to this place once in your life. Like, you take a 24-hour freaking plane ride, then you got to take another little puddle jumper for an hour, and then you got to get on a boat, and then you got to get on a taxi. This full moon party, they've made movies about it. So it is the party of all parties. You only go once in your life. And anyways, it was like the next morning that it was the after party, and he and I were doing shots. And I'm just like, this is not sustainable. This is
Yeah.
not. Your
Yeah.
body can, and at that point, my dad was already dead for many years. And my dad abused his body for 30 years. So in my head, I'm doing the calculation, like, all right, how much longer do I got?
Oh my goodness.
And then my grandmother died, my grandfather died, and I had another relationship where it was just tumultuous, and I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I
Hmm.
said, I just gotta freaking stop. And so we got to go back to that story about my ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend getting together. At that point, I still hadn't really found personal development. I still hadn't, all I'd done at that point is quit drinking. That's it. And I was feeling my feelings. And you talk about true grit and grace. That's the only way I was not drinking, through grit and grace. Just, oh my
Mm.
God, let me not drink today. I'd gone to therapy, I'd had it more. But then this was God going, hey, dummy, uh, you ain't healing at the pace that I need you to heal at. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at you. And I
Mm.
keep full bars in all my homes. There's alcohol everywhere. And believe me, when I got served the notice that I'd lost temporary custody of my daughter, I looked over at my scotch and I said, I wasn't court ordered to quit drinking. I just quit. There's no reason. There's nothing stopping me from having a drink. And I looked up and I said, not today, God, not today. And I said, I put my phone down. I grabbed a cigar, my one last vice, and I went for a drive and I hatched a plan of how I was going to come back and do it. So then I started taking in podcasts. Then I started reading. And then I started doing meditations. One of the books that somehow I don't know how I saw. Oh, I heard it on a Albury Marcus podcast, was Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It, because it does.
Mm.
And then I just kept finding these love yourself books. So I would do these mantras in the mirror. I love myself. I would do a 5-minute look in the mirror at myself and tell myself I love myself for 5 straight minutes. Then,
Really? Like
yes,
you seriously would get in the mirror and go, I love you, I love you, I love you for 5 minutes?
over and over. And if I,
That
oh,
sounds like, sounds
it
kind of
is,
easy. No,
this is
that
so weird. I have to stare at my left eye. So I keep looking, and I set a stopwatch, because you think you're doing it. If you don't have a stopwatch, you think you're doing it for 5 minutes. 36 seconds later, you're like, oh, it's not even 5. So 5 straight minutes of doing that. Then I would meditate, and I would do a meditation that said, I love myself. Thank you. I love myself. Thank you.
so how
All
long did you do that meditation for? So you
10
looked in the
minutes.
mirror,
It was 10 minutes. No. 5 minutes in
the
the
mirror,
mirror,
10 minutes
10-minute
meditation.
meditation. And then I would journal all these feelings. Now remember, big part of my life was abandonment.
Mm.
Felt abandoned and betrayed by my family. So what just happened? My ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend abandoned me and betrayed me.
Mhm.
So I was feeling and I just knew that this was God saying, this is it, bro. You asked for it. On the other side of this is the best life you've ever freaking could imagine. And
Mhm.
I was, and it was right. So I still do much of that. I do less of the mirror work, because you kind of, after you do a lot of it, and I did hypnotherapy, emotional coaches, and EMDR therapy. And once I really, really, really processed that beating that my mom gave me, and when I say processed it, I just assigned logic to it. And you know what I said? This is how I tricked my mind. She was making me tough to be able to handle resilience.
Mm.
I said to my therapist, that I said, this makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And she says, it does to you. And if it heals it where you can move on and it's no longer a trigger, then you go with it. And it did. I mean, I'm sitting here in the same spot I was in. I almost broke this computer. And the MDR therapist is like, we need a break. And I said, why? She's like, because you're going to break the computer. And this is after months and months and months, just 3 years of healing. And I thought I was healed. But after that, the urge to drink was, and just love yourself. And then it becomes you still get tested. Like the last situationship I was in was a lot like,
Wait, situationship?
it wasn't a relationship because she wasn't emotionally available. I laughed because I'm like, how did she sneak in? I love myself.
Isn't it crazy though? Like it's the guy. Oh my goodness. It's so funny because my husband and I were talking about this last night. So we just moved back to Texas and it's so sweet that my daughter is starting to get boy crazy. And she is like anytime she sees a big truck, there's a lot of nice big trucks out here. She's like, ooh, I'm going to have to get his digits. And I'm like, I'm like, girl. And she is like country music and into cowboys, and we were laughing. And my husband was like, yeah, you were into the long-haired bad boys. And I was like, it was because they were emotionally unavailable, and most of them were addicts or alcoholics. It was like, ooh, that's a bad boy. I'll pick him. Like my spotter
Familiar,
was broken.
it's the familiar misery
Yeah.
over the
Until I did the work
uncomfortable.
and
Yep.
found my husband. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that the last one, and this we're talking months ago now. This was
And
probably
and
eight.
snuck in though.
Yeah.
Just
She's not gonna, it was just a, hey, there's still something to work on here. It gives you, a little freaking bat light that says there's still something here. And then, I dug into it really, really hard. I went back to EMDR and I said, there's
you
still
did.
something. And then I did this meditation retreat and I realized that there was still that little bit of ego that still feels like I can go in, that since I'm healed and I could save them.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, if I just love them enough, they'll love me back. Well,
Yeah.
no, you need to put standards and boundaries, and the right ones will attract to you. That's
I
probably what
so
happened with
agree.
your husband.
Do
So
you feel like you ever completely heal?
this is going to be controversial because I do, but healing to me, I'm going to put a definition on that. The definition to healed to me is I am not, the triggers don't stop my day.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning I'm triggered. You're always going to be triggered.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people say the healing never stops because you're triggered, but I get it triggered, and in, I'm not kidding you, 10 seconds or less, it's gone. I'm
Because you've
so,
done the work.
and I'm in tune with my body and I know exactly what it is.
Right.
If something doesn't align, like I just said to you, if something feels off, I run straight into it. I am a buffalo and I'm going right into that storm. And I want to figure out why that trigger. So I journal daily and I'll write things and I'll star it if there's something I don't know. Like I told you, I went on a retreat this week and I figured out my ego was dying, which is what
Mm.
we want. The ego is the enemy. The ego is not your ego. That ego is meant to keep little Kelly safe from the beatings of his dad, of his stepfather and his mother. Guess what? Ain't nobody beating me anymore. So why in the heck am I using those coping mechanisms for real life now?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not happening. So thoughts are magical lies. That's the first thing I say to myself when I feel triggered. There you go, little Siegel. What's going on right now?
Mm.
And then now 90% of the time, and this one's I'm probably never going to heal, food. If I'm hungry, man, do I get hangry or hangxiety where I'm scared. That little boy, that one, I don't know if I'll ever heal that, but I know it right away and I can spot it. So is that healed? To me, it's healed. As long as it's not spilling over and
Mm-hmm.
debilitating my life, that's healed to me.
I
So
love that. And thank you for sharing about like getting hangry. I do the same. I always say I always say halt. Never get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, because that will trigger me to make really bad decisions, not be a nice person or mommy or wife or what, friend. So I always have to make sure, even when I travel, like I take food in my bag just in case there's no room service. I'm like,
yeah,
I take all
I'll
kinds of
tell you one
snacks.
more that I don't think I've ever shared with anybody, and I'll just tell you because you're my sister. Uh, so we would get charity deliveries, or maybe it was welfare deliveries of tomato soup. So if you got like to the point where you were starving, you ate the tomato soup.
Mhm.
You give me tomato soup, we're fighting.
You're
I
like,
will
I am
fight you right now.
over.
I will throw that across the room. I don't want tomato soup ever, ever. So that's just a little funny isms. But yeah, I know that now I live the best life in the world and all the work was worth it. And I'm still going to continue. It never stops. You practice things because you want, practice makes the master, and you're never gonna master it until we're dead, unfortunately. So I won't. Why? And all too often, why would you stop something that works? That's
Mhm.
crazy. Like,
Well, you shared something, I think it was on one of your posts, about how you work out 7 days a week and how people were kind of giving you some, I don't know, comments about why don't you take a rest day or a recovery day? And you're like, well, because this works for me. And if it's working for me, why would I stop? And so I love that you just show up bold and confident on your social media. And you also share, I mean, some vulnerable stuff too, but you keep it real and your authenticity is beautiful. And I think that's why you're just blowing up and you're attracting all these amazing people in your life. I think that when you're authentic, you attract the right people to come into your life. But you have such discipline and consistency. I love to learn about how what your morning routine is, or what your daily routine, or what your non-negotiables are. Can you share with us, like, what are your non-negotiables? Like, you must do these things to stay well and stay good and mentally resilient.
So I'm going to tell you a couple of things too. So I read a ton, and I take in a lot of podcasts, a lot of content, and I make a lot of notes. So I'm going to show you, people that are looking. There's a note. I'm going to read it to you. There's a note I just made out of reading something. It says, "Winners take from life whatever they want on their own terms. Others take what they can get, and it's on life's terms." So you notice I say others, and I hate saying winners and losers or God and the devil, because we're all one. United we stand, divided we fall. So I want to bring everyone together. I'm not sitting here trying to stand on some high horse that just says I'm better than you. No, 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 no. I've done the work, and I'm inviting you with me. Please come, because it's freaking great here. I've been on the party side. If it were so great over there, I'd still be there. Now, remember, nobody made me stop. I stopped on my own. If I want to go in my other room right now and pour a scotch and have a freaking scotch, nothing stops me. If it were worth it, I would do it. It's not. So, non-negotiables. Non-negotiables. I work out every day. I read every day. I journal every day. I meditate every day. I basically take care of myself, my mind and my body. There's a reason when you're on an airline, they tell you to put your mask on first before you take care of anybody else's. Because as long as I'm breathing and of sound mind and body, my 25 employees at National Technology Management are safe. The Harder Than Life people will get their donations, and I will continue to feed into this awesome world. If I allow myself to slip, all of that comes crashing down. So self-care is not selfish. That's non-negotiable. And if I try, sometimes there's a day that I just can't. And boy, do you feel it.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter was like, "Dad, did you work out today?"
Oh my gosh, that's the same.
I get,
and I'll even tell my daughter, "Hey, if you want a nice mommy, I need to go work out." And she knows, and she started working out with me too, so it's good.
I love that. My daughter works out too, and she started swimming after she worked out. She said, "Dad, I'm so fast." I said, "It's because of the working out. You know, you look good, you feel good, you do good." And it's, you know, with me, I'm 48 years old. I got a six pack, and it's not by accident. I work out really intentional, very, very hard. I don't get cheated. I stretch. I sit in the hot tub. I get regular massages. I take care of myself. But that's just part of my daily routine. And then gratitude. I don't know how we've gotten this far into talking about the life without gratitude. I wake up right in the morning and I say three quick things. Sometimes it's just having my big fat cat laying next to me. But like this morning was very easy. It was God got me home safe during a storm, and I opened the freaking airline and look and go, oh boy, this could be a bumpy road. And we went around everything, and I was grateful, and it was simple. I was grateful that I woke up. Every day above ground is a good day. We're not guaranteed every single day. So gratitude is a big part. John Gordon always says this: it's impossible to be negative and grateful at the same time. Faith over fear. The devil wants you to experience fear. That's how he gets you. So anytime I feel funky, I just start talking about the things that I'm grateful for. Now, let's talk about non-negotiables and other things. I call them kind of standards. You got to be this tall to ride this ride. I do not do negativity, and I do not do victimhood. What I mean by that is I don't allow that around me. So even
Mhm.
my staff at NTM, when they come up to me, if they're going to tell me a problem, I need solutions. I
Yeah,
need
I
data to
am the
back it up.
same. I
Don't
love
tell me
that.
problems. We need
Mhm.
solutions. So don't give me this. I'm on the frickin' and here's an Ed Miletism. Get off life's merry-go-round because you're just going to puke, and get on life's roller coaster. And hey, you're going to hit those downs. And when you hit those downs, you know an up's right after it. And when you're
Mhm.
hitting those ups, enjoy every minute of it. That's where presence, being present. It's a gift. That's why they call it being present. So enjoy every minute. And my boy Craig Siegel says this all the time: marry the process and divorce the outcome. If you're focused on it, I will be happy at this point. When I get this, you're all wrong.
Yeah.
You be happy right now. When you believe it, you will achieve it. Not
Yeah.
you will achieve it when you believe it. It's the other way around. And it's and when we have our daughters, I tell this, you said she's boy crazy. My daughter's not there yet because I've taught her over and over, and I'm sure you have. Everything you require is inside. All the
Mhm.
validation I need right here. And you'll see me walking around. I'll be tapping my heart. You'll see me walking around in Dallas doing it. And it's because two things: either I'm off alignment or I'm really in alignment and I'm feeling really grateful. And if you see me
You're
smile,
gonna you're gonna be real grateful when you're
I
in
know I'm going to
Dallas.
around the best people
You're
in the
gonna
world.
yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
And some of that's me pinching myself that here I am with these amazing people. And I take, when I was drinking, I did some epic things and I just wasn't present to even
Mm.
enjoy them. Now I'm going to enjoy every single little thing on the world. I'm going
Yeah.
to meet somebody that we're going to be able to touch the lives when I'm in Dallas. I'm going to meet somebody that I'm going to be able to help do something, that someone is going to help me do something. And
That's
that's
how it happens, right? It's like it's awesome to connect through Instagram or on Zoom, but the real magic happens, I think, when we are in person with that human connection. It's amazing.
let's talk about that. Real magic is with us lifting each other up.
Hmm.
And what you told me, it's great news today. I don't want to spill it, but you told me great news. First thing I said, oh, so freaking happy for you.
And I
So
was
many people,
happy I could share that news with you.
so many
Thank you.
people want to do crabs in a bucket and pull you down. It's
Hmm.
like, no, I will tell you, I went to a speaking engagement last Thursday. I walked in, the other speakers were like, dude, I'm so glad to meet you. And then immediately when it was done, they started introducing me to everybody. And we're launching a health and fitness app, aptly called Harder Than Life.
That's what I wanted to ask you next is like, I want to talk about your app.
My daughter named it Healthier Than Life. So part of it is we don't have a store.
Harder than life and healthier than life.
Yes, because it's going
Love
to be
it.
all things personal development, physical fitness, mental fitness, nutritional fitness. It's just all winning at life. And
Mm.
I'm gonna be reaching out to you and calling in favors, and we're gonna do. There's a live component of it when this thing hits.
When is
Amber,
it coming out?
it with it'll be out by January 1st. We'll
This
have
is
it.
that quick?
Oh yeah, I'm an IT company, so we have a
Yeah,
bunch of
you're so
heads
smart.
working on it. But we're charging a modest $12 a month, and we're
Wow.
going to provide so much value. You if you follow it, you can look like me, hopefully, but there's so much more than that.
You too can have a six pack.
I'm going to
Y'all have
have
to just check out his social media and you'll be like, okay, I'll grab the app. I want it.
and remember, this isn't for me to buy a jet or another house. I have everything. National Technology Management takes care of me fine. This is so we can donate to charity. We have 3 charities, 2 children's charities, and 1 addiction center that we're going to. And then if it blows up like I don't think it will, we will figure out ways to pour into more lifestyle addiction places.
That's
I
awesome.
see it as being a social media app on steroids, no pun intended, where I've got the guidelines where it's no negativity. You asked me for my non-negotiables. It's going to be a positive place of uplifting and
Hmm.
community where people are going to come to better themselves.
Mm.
And my goal is to get 1 million downloads. and we'll see what we can do from there.
Well, I think that you have enough friends and connections and stuff and you've helped everybody so much that when you help people the way you do, people want to help you. And
Well,
so,
keep in mind this is for charity. It's helping me, but then I want to see everybody when we hand the check to these charities, and it's big 6-figure, maybe 7-figure checks, where I say thank you to everybody that is involved with this. So they what somebody labeled it charity muscle.
charity muscle, love
I'm
that.
charity muscle. So
So I want to put the link. So you'll have to get me the link. We'll put it in the show notes.
it'll be available in the Apple store, and it'll be under Harder Than Life by the time this airs.
No, healthier
And
than life.
yeah, actually, we're going to call it Harder Than Life because it's the brand, and then the app,
Oh,
the internal, the sub content, the subtitle will be Healthier Than Life.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so well, I'm so excited. There was a question in there. This is where I was talking about it, and I can't remember what it was, but I lost my train of thought. There was a reason why I was going there, and I can't. Oh, I think it was the non-negotiables. But it's just I don't like negativity. I don't. Again, I'm a huge John Gordon fan, even though we know him. Is just he was the first person I read the Energy Bus, and that's the first I started doing the one word from him, and his was no energy vampires.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I do not want to be around negativity. And the funniest thing about it is you'll see me talking to somebody, they're negative. I use the same thing. I got to go to the bathroom. I just walk away. I used to say I got to go to the bar, but now it's like I got to go to the bathroom. And then I just disappear. And I don't
Yeah.
go near those people. And now, if they want to have a conversation about why, I will. But if you're going to sit there and dig in why you are the way you are, it drives me nuts. We've always done it this way, or this is the way I am. You know what the way I am? I'm just in survival mode. A little kid struggling to eat, to be seen, and to be safe. Now, if I
Mm-hmm.
continue that, I can't do anything in this world. That's
Mm-hmm.
who I am, who I used to be. Well, I just killed that off, and I've grown and I've healed. And now who I am is going to be this positive, big, loving bear that's just going to make an impact on so much in this world and help every single person until I drop dead.
You are doing that. You are incredible. You're amazing.
I'm going to come on
Seriously.
this podcast more often and get fed up.
Oh
Woo!
my God. No, seriously. I told you, like, you're the first in stories for my Facebook. You're always the first thing that pops up. And I don't usually watch stories on Facebook, but I always watch yours.
You know why that is, right? It's the algorithm. So the algorithm is matching us up. So that shows you that you and I are like-minded people, because other things that you're liking matches you up with my algorithm. So I do the same thing yours, and I make sure, because I love you. I love all of your girl gang, and I love every single part of everybody that are positive, because it is a good group. I've interviewed all of your friends,
Oh
all
my
of our
gosh,
friends.
they're amazing. These ladies in the Unstoppable Life Mastermind, like, they're amazing. So they were just here at the house, and my husband's kind of private and he'd be happy if we had no company. He just, he's
Really?
yeah, yeah, he's not as much about like he's getting better about it. He's getting a little more open about it. But I said, hey, I want to have a mastermind meetup at the house because we have a huge space upstairs. It's perfect for it. He's like, what? No, no way, no way. And then he goes, okay, I know you love these ladies. Okay. And now we've had two meetups at the house, and he's like the star of the people like, oh, Johnny. And so now he's like totally fine with it. I
Oh
have
man, that
somebody.
sounds like heaven to me. That sounds like heaven on earth to me. A bunch of
These women are
badass.
these women are
That's,
badass
I
and
know them all.
gorgeous.
Badass, brilliant problem solvers, expanding the world. I would be in. I would be in heaven.
Well, you're going to be in heaven in Dallas, I'm telling you, because
Oh, I
they're all
know.
going to be there. Loving up on you.
You're so funny. You think about that now. We're in November. We're at the end of November. We're gonna blink our freaking eye, Amberly, and it's gonna be April. And I'm gonna be. Time flies so fast.
It sure does. I can't believe how fast it goes. I mean, this or next month will be 2 years that we moved. to Texas. And I'm like, how did these 2 years go by like in the blink of an eye? Yeah. So it goes by so quick. It really does. Well, I want to get your app. So I'm going to search up in January your app. We'll have that link in the show notes. Tell people where they can get your book, where they can connect with you, like the best way to connect with you. And we'll put all those links in the show notes so people can easily find you, your book, your podcast, and your new app.
Yeah, the easiest place to find me is at harderthanlife.com.
Yeah.
Everything is there. But if you look at me for on Instagram or TikTok, now remember, each one we put out different messages because TikTok, we've got a very, and I'm sure yours is similar. Our demographic is very diverse. It is from 15 to 64, and it is 25, 25, 25 split. And I like that because I love the young kids. I want to catch them and inspire them before they do bad. And then the next group, I think it's 25 to 35 and 35 to 45. They just my people, and I want to inspire them that alcohol is not the way. So it's Kelly.Siegel. Instagram's Kelly.Siegel.71. But once you start typing Kelly.Siegel, we pop up everywhere. And you'll know when the app is out because you'll see every message is going to flip to that because it's fitness with a cause.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to take the world by storm because you go on, I'm not going to say their names, but the social media apps, and you leave away feeling less than. I want people that have downloaded this app to walk away feeling like 10 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone is negative, we will refund their money and kick them off the platform.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be guidelines. This is not going to be the place to say, oh, you take steroids or you're just an idiot. No. We're going to lift each other up. In many respects, this is my dream. I just want a world where we all get along,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all full of love and abundance.
Well, thank you for all that you do, Kelly. Seriously, all that you're doing is making such a huge impact. And I'm grateful to know you. I'm grateful to have you on the show. And you know what? Y'all take a screenshot and
Yeah,
I love when people take a screenshot. And
yeah.
if you're listening on Apple or if you're watching on YouTube and you take a screenshot and share it on social media. Oh, Kelly's taking a screenshot right
I
now.
got to get how pretty you are. Between now and April, if there's anything that you need from me, please do not hesitate to ask. I don't care how big, how small. If there's anything I can do to make your life easier or fill in any gaps, and just even if you just need to bounce something off of me, you have my number. I am here. That is love to me, just so you know. When people call on me and I can be there, even if it's just a, hey, Kelly, I'm nervous. I'm going on our friend's podcast and I need to talk.
Yeah,
Call
I may call you. You may
anytime,
get a call.
anytime, because the next thing is I'm going to be calling you when I'm on his podcast
That's
next. I'm going
right.
to go, we talked about it on your podcast and here we are. And I'm rooting for you. I
Thank
don't hate
you.
you.
I'm
You're
rooting for
you a rock.
you. I am rooting for you.
One last thing too is be awesome, be kind, and love everybody, tell the truth, and enjoy this holiday because 2024 is going to be huge for you.
2024 is going to be huge for you. Huge. Because you're
Your
just
mouth to
blowing
God's
up. You're
ears.
just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I can't wait to see you. Thank you so much for being here and for all that you shared. And hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. I appreciate you listening. Because of you, you have made this show a top 1% podcast. So thanks for tuning in. Share this episode with someone who might be struggling and needs a little bit of inspiration or motivation, especially if they're thinking about stopping the alcohol and want to get sober. So go ahead,
And I'll say
Kelly.
one more thing. DM me if they want any help with that. I answer all alcohol related DMs, and I'm jumping on a call here in a couple minutes to talk to somebody I've never met in my life. I will make it a minute. I have that for anybody because I did it alone and I don't recommend anybody do it alone. You are not
That's
alone.
what's hard. Yeah. Um, so y'all, it's Kelly.Siegel.71, but we'll have that in the show notes. So thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you
I
for
love you, my dear.
tuning in and love you. Love you. And I will see y'all next week.